Good evening and welcome to Take Your Life Back show with Ralf Friedrichs, and today's special guest I have here, not only is he my mentor, but he is also a addiction recovery coach. Dr. Gonzales is an international established recovery coach. He is a former juvenile court school counselor instructor. He is also a former community college psychology instructor. He was appointed by Minnesota Governor to the Hispanic Latino Advisory Council and served as the educational chair from 1990 to 96. I want to welcome you, Dr. Luis Gonzales.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Just for my audience sake, I just want to give a quick background on you and I. We started communicating a while back, and I was interested in the program that you offer at Starting Point, and I want everybody to get the phone number, which is 844-414-8444. That's www.startingpointmn.com, and the MN is for Minnesota, folks. We got to know each other, and I went through Dr. Luis Gonzales' educational program through Starting Point. And like I speak about during every show, it has helped me tremendously. It has taught me how to learn, how to listen and learn a lot more than speaking. Although I do a lot of speaking, as everybody knows, but that is my job to do that on these shows. But Dr. Gonzales has been gracious enough to join us here for a few questions, because I do count on his expertise, and he is a doctor when it comes to this, so I hope everybody benefits from this. So I welcome you, Dr. Gonzales, and I do have one question to start with. And do you have an adult family member or a friend with any alcohol problem or drug problem within your family or anyone close to you?
Well, my whole family have had issues with alcohol, and my mother especially. Back in the day, although we didn't call it alcoholism, and I don't know what it was called, but we kept it well hidden pretty much. But she would have her bouts with alcohol, and then generationally, I think I came out with some problems dealing with alcohol, and I've recently been in recovery myself. Within the last year, and it wasn't that I was doing damage to anyone, because I was a thriving business and still am. But the thing is that I drank all the time, and it wasn't until I stumbled upon your television show that you introduced me to the term working alcoholic, I think it was.
Yes.
Closet alcoholic, one of those terms, and I said, holy mackerel, that's me. And right then and there, I decided to stop. And I had some, it hit families. I mean, no getting around it, and maybe not so much alcohol. Now, in modern day times, I have young children, young by that I mean 23, 25 years old. To me, they're young. Anybody under 65 is young. And they have issues with drugs and some alcohol as well. And my youngest, and I'm struggling through his recovery and struggling through mine. And not struggling through mine so much. I happen to be one of those special people that just walked away from it. And as I recall as a young person, when I was doing marijuana and speed and all that back in the 70s, when I was watching the Grateful Dead and hanging around with, Santana and those groups in San Francisco when I lived there back in the 70s, I also walked away from drugs then. I just said, okay, that's enough. And I guess I had a lot of strength, a lot of energy, and, people were paying good money to get high, like I was. Naturally.
Yeah.
And so, I just walked away from it. And then it wasn't until in the last 20 years or so when I started changing my style of drinking, and I started drinking differently and more of it. And I used the excuse that I enjoy cooking, but at the same time I enjoy drinking, sipping while I'm cooking. And living in Minnesota, it gets very, very cold. And my style of drinking changed. I went from, nice light wines to, heavy duty cognac, and next thing you know, I was having some health issues with that.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided not to do that. And so, thanks to you and at least your TV program there, it kind of opened my eyes. And it's funny how we're all in the business of recovery, and we're all in the business of drugs in some degree or another. Yet none of us are exempt from our family.
Exactly.
You would think that I would be able to intervene quite effectively with my sons, and I couldn't. And so it took a stranger to get deep inside their brain and say, look, you got to stop this. And somehow they came around, and I thank God for that.
Yeah, everything does happen for a reason. And when we talk about family, we personally, I feel there are two types of family, whether we're related or not, Dr. Gonzales. And there's a family of addiction, and then there's a family of people that have an addiction that learn to live with it on a daily basis. And those are two separate families.
Yeah.
And it is up to us, the family that learned to live with the addiction, to help the family members that are still in the addiction. This is why I do what I do with my shows daily, just about daily. I mean, there are Thursdays, thanks to you, the Throwback Thursday went into effect immediately when you suggested it. And yeah. So, but thanks to you on that. But so, with that said, what do you think are the benefits of early identification of if you see somebody within your family, even yourself, or anyone around you? What do you think is a benefit of identifying that you have a problem early?
Identifying I have a problem really is, first of all, their physical health or their physical look. We were talking about it in the kitchen with my son who's sober, and he said, and I said, I just went to do a talk at a high school, and I didn't see too much drug issues going on in there, but I'm sure there are. And he said, yeah, they are, because, all the stoners now, so they're modern, and they dress up and they dress sharp. And I confronted my son on that. I said, there's no such thing as a stoner, a marijuana user that dresses sharp. I said, one of the first signs of alcohol use or marijuana use, which leads on to other drugs, is the fact that you let yourself go.
Yeah.
You let your hair get all messed. You don't wash it. I've got nothing against a person wearing braids or dreadlocks. None of that. Those are modern kids that do that. But I'm talking about the people that are constantly using. They don't take care of their hair. It's dirty. They dress sloppily. They don't keep appointments. They make excuses. Those are a lot of the things that I see with the people that are coming to me for recovery. And the thing that's interesting about addiction and recovery is that a lot of times, Ralph, these clients that come to us in recovery who have gotten themselves sober through treatment still have some residual kind of addictive thinking going on in their brains. They look at life and they deal with life almost in the same way they dealt with it as when they were addicts or alcoholics. And what we have to do as recovery coaches is to challenge those belief systems that they have, or their way of looking at life. And as I trained you before, and some of your listeners may know already, that's called cognitive restructuring. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these guys that are coming in, or ladies, with alcohol issues but have recovered, and are not recovered but have become sober and are working on their sobriety, are still thinking. They have distortions, thinking distortions, cognitive distortions, if you will. And it's sad that they have them because they were not treated for that in treatment, because in treatment, by law, not by law, but the insurance companies only carry you for about 28, 29 days, maybe 30 if you're lucky. The first week is spent trying to get you fat and well and healthy. And then the other week, maybe you'll sit in a circle and go through the 12 steps, and you're lucky to reach step 4 before you get released. And they never really dealt with two things, the cognition, the way they think, because now that you're sober, we've got to train you on how to think differently at life and the things that you're dealing with as a sober person, because being sober is very, very scary. thing that we don't deal with is anger. Anger and sobriety, not anger, but anger and addiction are first cousins. Anger and recovery are first cousins. And they have to be dealt with both concurrently. Because I have a lot of clients that come to recovery, and through recovery, to us, and they're chronically angry all the time. And because they don't know how to deal with anger, they don't know how to deal with the frustrations of the sober life, all of a sudden you got to do what normal people do. You got to go to a job. You got to go to do a UA once a week. You got to fix the broken fuse in the garage. You got to do things that are responsible for the first time. And they don't know how to deal with the frustration of that. And so a lot of the work we do in recovery requires that we take some time and try to unlock some of those things that are going on in the client's head. And so that's kind of what I find, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I get a lot of questions asked to me, and I don't have your experience. You have over 30 years in the industry. But the question that I get, and I had to ask you this, and I know you can answer this, but how do you think bringing up the subject about addiction to the substance abuser, which is the easiest way to bring it up to them without breaking any eggs or stepping on eggshells? In other words, people become offended when you bring up the word addiction. When you feel that your loved one or someone within your family has an alcohol or has a drug problem, how would you being the professional here, how would you approach that? If you can explain it to my listeners, please.
Well, the way I approach it, and it's kind of a cop-out maybe, but it works, is rather than use the addiction word, okay, I use the dependent word, dependency. Maybe you've got to depend. People seem to accept the word dependency better than they accept the word addiction. It's all about semantics, but it's all the same stuff, you see.
Right.
Maybe you're so dependent that even though I may think they're addicted, I won't say it to them directly, but I'll say maybe your dependency is headed towards a possible addiction. Can we do something what are some of the things that we can begin to prevent that from happening?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then if they deny that, and they say, well, I don't have a dependency. I said, but if you did, but let's say, for example, that you did have a dependency on alcohol. What kind of advice would you give yourself? What would be some of the things you can begin to think about to avoid you becoming, you know, a full-blown alcoholic or a full-blown addict? And we just gotta probe like that, and you know, it's what you're doing working for you right now.
Exactly.
How is that working for you? And we begin to explore that piece of it, and then try to attack the dependence again, you know.
Right, right.
Well, let's talk about dependency. These are the characteristics of dependency: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We kind of list them. Does this look like anyone you know? You know, you miss work, you've done this. You wake up in the morning with the only energy you have is to find more drugs, to get more alcohol. I said, you know, can you expend the same kind of energy to remain sober? And what are some of the things that you would do in expending that energy? And so you kind of look at it logically. So, you know, recovery coaching, as you know, it's all about attacking the problem with logic.
Right.
And,
yeah, exactly.
Instead of goshing it off, you're going to go to hell, you know. But today you're dealing with millennials, modern clients who, you know, don't particularly like the idea of sitting in a circle, hugging a box of Kleenex, crying over what bad people they are. They want to get things fixed. They're going to lose their family, their wives, their job, their car, their license. In the next 2 weeks, they want to know something that's going to help them do that. And there's nothing wrong with a 12-step model. But what I'm saying now, you either got to combine 12-step with some practicality, or some practicality exclusively altogether to get to the source of the problem that they're experiencing. I mean, I find that happening too.
Yeah.
And then spirituality is important, no question about it. But
absolutely, I totally
the thing
agree.
is that, huh?
No, no, no. I said I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, and you stop me when I'm talking too much. But anyway, we're finding more and more evidence that a person who has bolstered his sobriety journey with some spirituality, along with the practical applications, has a greater chance of having a positive recovery experience heading towards sobriety. And if that's the case, that's what we have to promote. And in my work, I don't promote that you got to give yourself up to God and say that you're helpless. And I read the whole thing on 12 steps. And whatever works for you, I always say. But I like to approach it from a more practical sense. I said, God is important. Your prayer is important. Meditation is important. Buddhism is important. Christianity is important. I don't want you to be a Christian, but, I would like to see you behave Christian-like. I don't want you to be a Buddhist, but at least you can behave Buddha-like. You can behave Muhammad-like. And those are all key teaching principles that these great teachers taught us. And so, if you want to pick something that you like, then you go for it. But what I'm saying is that you've got to maintain your rudder. Your spiritual centeredness is your rudder. Okay? And that's how I want to teach the folks, as I am teaching them the practicality of what they need to do in order to remain sober and keep their family and their life intact.
Well, I mean, the way I feel about the whole spiritual thing, quite honestly, is that if we had our lives all together, although addiction is a disease, but if our lives were that well formed by us alone, without that spiritual guidance and direction, it would be a perfect world. But when things start crumbling around,
it's impossible to do it alone.
No, you're absolutely right. It is, and you know what? It comes down to a 4-letter word: hope. Whatever you believe in, that's hope. And if you have some sort of hope, whether it's addiction, whether it's suicidal, if there's any sign of hope, that is a green light to continue on.
Yeah.
I came up with a couple.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, exactly. I came up with with a few do's and don'ts, and I want you to just give me your input for a second. Here's my question. How do you think you can help someone understand that he or she has a problem? And this is what I came up with, and then we'll discuss it. These are the do's and don'ts that I came up with. As you continue to try to talk to the person in need of help, please remember these important details. Don't try to talk when either one of you is under the influence. Do you agree or disagree on that?
I agree. You can't get through that shield called addiction and alcoholism. You can't talk to them when they're under the influence.
Yeah, exactly. And then another, here's a do. Do protect yourself and others around you from physical harm when confronting a person. Of course, we both have to agree on that.
Yeah, that's a given. I've told people, I'll be honest with you, I told my own son back when he was using, I said, the only person I want to see coming through my door is the sober Ralph. The addicted Ralph is not welcome here.
Exactly.
I'm using your name to protect myself.
But that's okay, because I am an alcoholic. That's okay. I totally understand it, and I totally don't want to come into your house any other form than sober. I do. This is another do. Do call the police if there is violence. And the reason I'm doing these, Dr. Gonzales, is because I want my audience to know the do's and don'ts to watch for. But if there's any sign of violence during your confrontation, bringing the subject up, I think we need to be aware that the police have to be called if there's any sort of violence.
Absolutely, no question about it. I mean, and what you have to do as a family member or a relationship to that loved one is to follow through on what you're going to do. I have a real good book that I wrote about my relationship with my son when he was addicted. And the name of the book, and I'm not here to sell books, Ralph.
No, I want you to plug the book and let people know where they can find it, please.
If someone wants it for free, I can send them the PDF. I mean, But I talk about the do's and don'ts in that book, and it's a guide for parents. It's my it, you can't control it. Remember the 3 C's they teach you in AA.
Right.
Be honest. And one thing you got to do is be honest with yourself about your level of addiction. Work together with other family members. The problem that happens sometimes, Ralph, is we don't work with other family members. We hide it from other family members.
Right.
And that's unfair, because what you're doing is you're putting all the attention on the alcoholic or the addict.
Yeah.
And the other family members are cheated from your contact, from your relationship.
Well,
and so you got to get all the families together, work together, and cut off some time for them as well in this whole thing as a family member.
now, what was the name of your book?
The name of the book is They Can't Be Loved into Sobriety.
Okay, I wanted my audience here. And you know what you just said about isolating yourself from other family members, how we spoke about closet drinking, that's almost considered closet intervention, that you're doing it on your own without getting other people involved. It's another terminology.
You're doing it all yourself, and the other family members are affected, and they're wondering why you're running around angry and frustrated, this whole thing.
Right.
The book is not under my last name, it's under my grandmother's name, Louise Velarde, Velarde. That's my middle name, named after my grandmother. I talk about, you have to value yourself if you're working with an addict or an alcoholic. The only people who appreciate a doormat are those people with dirty shoes. and you're gonna be serving as a doormat for your addicted loved one. You're gonna be selfish.
Yeah.
You gotta practice self-preservation. If you're gonna keep yourself healthy, or at least in some kind of balance. And like you said, your safety and the safety of other family members are critically important. You see?
Right.
And so I've got those kind of tips for loved ones. I got 10 tips on how to deal and how to set boundaries.
Right.
The problem that we have, we don't know how to set boundaries, and then we become codependents. And both of us are caught in that vicious circle, if you will. And so there's got to be some restriction that we follow through. So the tips I gave in that book are not tips from a genius professor who taught psychology. It's from a father who was torn his gut apart because a loved one was addicted, and he did not know what to do as a man. And this book is written for men, although women love it. But it's from a man's point of view.
Yeah.
A man deals with addiction. With an addicted loved one differently than a woman does. And I think a woman is stronger and is able to put down standards a lot firmer than a father. What a father generally does whenever there's a problem, the first thing he does is throw money at it. Okay?
Yes.
Well, my son's using, maybe if I buy him a car, he'll love me and he'll become sober. No. He's going to go out looking for more drugs.
Yeah.
Now he can drive to it. Right now it's 7 degrees in Minnesota. And I'll tell you what, if my son was addicted right now and it was 7 degrees, he would walk barefooted to the corner gas station to meet a drug connection.
Wow. That goes to
Now,
show
if
you
I
that.
buy him a car, guess what? He's going to drive to it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, so I give parents different tips that they begin to use. Things that I could not see in front of me. Yeah, here I am, a trained professor. Well, not professor, because I don't profess anything, but, a trained counselor. Yet I couldn't see that in my own kids. I would block it. It was denial. And here I am working in juvenile hall and doing all kinds of things with young people, actually turning lives around. But I could not turn my son's life around.
But you know what? It comes down to love is blind. Love is blind.
Yeah, love is blind. So what do? You take more alcohol, and so you bury yourself in your office. You don't go and hide in your bedroom like some people do. You go into your office and you work twice as hard and drink twice as much.
Right.
And until you render yourself useless.
Yeah.
And before that happened, I just said, wait a minute, back up. I didn't cause this to happen with my son. He did it by his own choices. The reason kids use drugs is because they like it. Not because they're sad about something, unless it happens to be a real psychological issue, such as being molested by a parent or something that heinous of a situation. Then it's almost understandable that someone would become, an alcoholic or a drug addict because of that. But then with some good psychological help, they can get out of it.
Right.
But for the most part, the general youth population today use drugs because they like it and they like what the drug does. And they're modeling everything we do as adults. Right now there is a drug for anything that ails you, Ralph.
Oh, wow.
And you can get it. And the kids do. They see that. And so that's what we're dealing with, this young millennial generation. And sometimes there are no consequences for these kids. So they're in greater danger. You see?
Yeah, and you know what? There's a reason that addiction, if that's what it comes down to. And you know what? Even though I have tons of do's and don'ts, at the end, if you're at your wit's end, the best thing to do, I personally feel, is to consider a formal intervention. Don't you agree on that?
Formal introduction to what?
An intervention. In other words...
Oh, an intervention.
Yeah, an intervention. If
some of them work, a lot of them don't. It's just to be on the individual, the psychological makeup of the individual. I think it's better to err on the side of the intervention rather than not intervening at all.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that you didn't try. You gotta do it. But it's it's a national. As you know, I'm telling everybody something they already know. It's a national illness, and I think we've lost the war on drugs. And in fact, I know we have. And so what do we do instead of continuing the war and putting more money into it? We legalize it.
Yeah. Well,
we can go anywhere. I went to Los Angeles. Well, you know this. I went there 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
And I have a colleague who's a probation officer. We went into California, and you know what? People don't have to smoke marijuana anymore. First of all, it's bad for your lungs, and number two, it doesn't look too cool to be doing that anymore, to be sitting in a corner smoking a joint. They have it in candy bars.
Wow.
They have it in a full-up tincture where you put 2-3 drops into your tea and you drink it, and you get a body high, what they're calling in California a body high, where your body just feels so nice and comfortable and mellow. And that's where we're at now.
Yeah, well, it's
once it gets legalized everywhere, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? It's a growth market for you and me.
Well, there's some people argue once it's legalized, people won't be addicted anymore, but who knows?
That's not true.
I know it's not true.
The kids are going to be even more affected.
Yeah, I know it's not true, but...
Yeah. I don't know if you know the procedure how to make marijuana, but not make marijuana, but trim it and cut it and package it and all that. What's left on the bottom of the table are nothing but cuttings. And what you do, you take those cuttings and scrape them onto a bowl, and then you put a flavored kind of a base kind of a liquid to it and boil it. And all you're boiling out is the THC. And what you do is you filter it through a T-shirt, if you will, a gauze kind of a cloth, the cheesecloth. And what you get is pure THC. And then you bottle that, or you pour it on candy, like the candy bars, and you split. And that's what they're doing.
Wow.
And kids are going to pick it up.
Yeah.
Kids are going to pick it up.
You know, it's getting worse and worse. I only have a couple more questions left.
Yes.
These are related to treatment, and the first of the two questions, this is a two-part, is how do you know when someone needs treatment? You as the professional, 30 years under your belt, doing what you're doing, how would you be able to tell when somebody needs treatment?
Self-destruction, destruction of property, destruction of family relationships. It's the D word, destruction. When I start to see that you're sleeping till God knows when, 2:00 in the afternoon, and you get up and you leave, and I don't see you for 4 days, and something is dreadfully wrong, and you're losing your keys, you're forgetting things, and you're not focused on anything. It's self-destruction with your health. I think your health is the first to go. There's arguments about treatment people. I'm not a treatment person. Once you've been to treatment and you want to extend your sobriety, come and see me. Maybe I can help you. We'll talk through some stuff and see what we can do for you.
Right.
But generally, if I see someone, recently I've asked questions of a close neighbor friend and about his daughter, and she lost 3 jobs. She sleeps till 2 o'clock. She gets up and doesn't eat. Dresses up, and some stranger picks her up at the door, and she's gone. You don't see her for 3 days. She shows up Sunday night, all disheveled and tired and exhausted. I think you need to look at that. And so those are just the basic signs that I see in a parent.
Right.
And I've got several of those in my book that I just mentioned. And I sound like I'm hawking my book, but anyway, it's those are just some of the basic signs that I see, and they're pretty obvious to most parents and most families.
Right. For our listeners, just a quick. How do you think you can help someone who made treatment? And I'm not asking you, Dr. Gonzales. I'm asking you for the answer, possibly. But what would you recommend to my audience if they see someone that needs treatment? How do you think they can help?
Well, it depends on the age of the loved one. One of them is setting some strict standards. You cannot live on my couch until you show me a slip of paper that says you've been accepted to a treatment facility. That's if you're 21 years old. Okay? Mm-hmm. You can't stay here. I'm not going to let you use my clinic. Say, for example, you're a relative who lives with me, or you're my son or my daughter. I'm not going to let you use the car, the boot of the car, and until you seek treatment. If the person happens to be a teenager, I will physically put him in a car and take him myself to treatment, or I will call a facility who will charge me $175 to come and handcuff him, put him in a car, and take him to treatment. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you one thing, in 10 days, 20 days, the kid will thank me.
Right. Well, I mean, that.
You can sit there and see addiction seems to hijack the brain. The person that loved you once no longer loves you. It loves the drug. Therefore, when you try to reason, you cannot reason with you cannot throw reason at someone that's behaving unreasonable.
Right.
And what happens is that you cannot get through that thick glass called addiction to get into the brain of that loved one and says, I want you to get treatment because I love you. They don't love you. It's not that the person doesn't love you. It's the addiction made who they are, an unloving person, an unloving individual. It's almost like a zombie. I saw the other day, I was watching that zombie movie, or a zombie program on television. I said, it's akin to being an addict. That's why I named my book, They Cannot Be Loved into Sobriety.
Right.
And because they can't. I want you to go because I love you. They don't give a damn that you love them or not. Right. They love the drug of choice. That's who their master is. And so it's not that they're bad guys, they're bad kids. It's just that that's what the drug has done to them.
Right.
And until you get treatment, I don't want you in my house. I don't want you to borrow money from me. I'm not going to, I'm going to put a boot in the car, or I will stop the insurance. I'll do anything. And I put an ice pick into my tire, to my son's car, an automobile tire, because he was going to leave without my permission with a bunch of knuckleheads who were addicted. I knew they were. And you're not going anywhere. And when boom, I put an ice pick right into the tire and went flat. You got to be crazier than they are. You got to behave more bizarre than they behave. Yeah.
And you have to do that. And you have to do that sober. But that's some very good advice. Last but not least, before I want to just talk to you about your program that you offer, because I really, honestly want to bring that up because it's very important, because there are a lot of people out there that need coaching, and there are a lot of people out there that want to become a coach. But before I do that, this is the last thing I just want to bring up. Here's a question that somebody had emailed to me. What should I do in an alcohol or drug emergency? And I'm just going to read what I wrote down, and then we'll do a recap on it, okay?
Okay.
Does your loved one have any of the following symptoms? If so, call 911 or emergency services immediately. Have they lost consciousness after taking drugs? Have they become unconscious after drinking alcohol, especially if 5 or more drinks were consumed in a short period of time? Have they had a seizure? Had been drinking and is so seriously considered suicidal at this point? If this person has a history of heavy drinking and severe withdrawal symptoms such as confusion and severe trembling, severe withdrawal symptoms such as delirium tremens can cause death. This is what I came up with to answer the question, but I want you, with your experience. The question was, what should I do in an alcohol or drug emergency?
An alcohol or drug emergency, call either 911, like they said, or call police department and have an escort them to a facility. You always want to have 2 or 3 names of some hospitals that you know can take a person to their emergency ward. Some emergency wards won't take alcoholism or addiction. They'll take an automobile accident or something like that, but many of them will. And what I suggest is to keep 2 or 3 phone numbers of an emergency place and addresses, so that when something like that happens, you call the police and tell them that you need an escort to take to the Hennepin Medical Center and to the detox unit.
Right.
And they'll hold them there for 3 or 4 or 5 days.
Excellent advice. Yeah. What I do want to touch up on is your programs. Now we have, like I always say, my programs. There are 2 entities to you when it comes to your program. You have the one entity, which is kind of what I do, which is addiction recovery coaching. Now this country is so big it allows 2 of us to work here. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
But that is one side. And before I let you talk about both sides, the other side, and as long as I live, I'll always remember the first thing you told me was the 3 Ps. The other side of your business is how to help someone become an addiction recovery coach. And if you have the professionalism, the personality, and the passion, and you have some sort of addiction in your background, whether it be your own or someone close to you, you offer a program to help an individual achieve the desire to become an addiction recovery coach. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you and just explain both sides of your business briefly, and that way people know what you do offer, okay?
Yes. One side of the business is, actually there's 3 sides now, but side 1 is addiction recovery coaching. And the thing that's really cool about that is that we can do it in person if you're local here in Minnesota, or we can do it through Skype nationally. I had a client in Africa, South Africa, that I work with, and I currently have a client in San Diego, and I had a client in Canada, and I recommended her to someone that could help her with other issues that she had, and so I don't have her anymore. But so one of the advantages is that we can do recovery coaching through Skype, and Skype is a good thing because we can help you develop a relapse prevention, a personalized relapse prevention plan, and we can talk about it right there face to face. I can see the expressions on your face. I can see the body language. You can see my sincerity as I work with you. So that's a very, very technologically clever way of communicating rather than having to drive anywhere. And a lot of people who are addicted are middle class, upper middle class people who don't have time to go to a meeting, and so it becomes easier to get on Skype at 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, whichever is convenient for them, any time of the day that you can both agree that you can meet, and so that kind of works really well. Then my other one is anger management. I'm getting referrals for the court system. I just wrote a handbook on anger management for people in recovery. me. And again, we use Skype, we use Skype technology, we use email sometimes, but I don't consult and I don't coach completely with email. I just respond to emails very briefly, or I may call you. These cell phones that we have that I'm using right now talking to you, they'll make everything but coffee. And so they're handy to have. I have different kinds of little programs I can punch and connect to anyone, anytime, anywhere. And so this is the 21st century. You don't have to sit face to face, eyeball to eyeball with anyone anymore.
Right.
Yep. And the third program that I have is I train coaches. I now have an agreement with PayPal because sometimes people cannot afford the fee. And currently it's $625. And naturally, it's a lot of money for anybody. And but now we have a deal with PayPal where once you sign up for become a recovery coach, that you can hit a button on PayPal that says Pay Later program, and PayPal will pay me right away, and you can take up to 6 months interest free to pay off your training. That's a good thing. And $625 when you get down to it is not a lot of money for setting up a career in recovery coaching. If you love to help people, if people are coming to you for advice, and you're wondering, my goodness, what shall I do? If you've been a sponsor and people love the sponsorship work that you're doing with 12-step, why not plug in some other kinds of skills that all of a sudden you may not want to do some volunteer work anymore, but you might want to make a little money on the side and become a recovery coach. So we train you how to all the necessary tools that you need to become a recovery coach. It's a 225-page training handbook I use, and I train you through Skype technology. It's a webinar that I present made up of 10 modules, and I walk you through all the 10 modules. And again, if you're interested in becoming or starting your own business, then we can talk about my training you in the things that you need to do. Nothing is guaranteed. If anybody in the field of recovery coaching, as you're going through the internet, and there's hundreds of people on the internet that claim to be great recovery coaches, and some of them are, but if they say that you can get rich overnight, I think you better hit the delete button or something, because there will be. This is the hardest business you got to get into. It's going to take a while. I tell the coaches that I train, overnight success takes about 10 years.
Right.
And that's all it takes. And it's marketing, 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 and marketing. And then sooner or later, you're going to be doing such a good job as a coach that the business will market itself by the clients that you're getting.
Well,
that's not how it works.
Right, exactly. Well, one of the key words isn't payday. It's passion, professionalism, personality. Passion being the most important. Yeah. Payday comes with passion. Unless
there's a good book. There's a good book that I share. There's a good book that I show with my students called "Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow." Do it with passion.
Dr. Gonzales, one of the first things I said to you when I came to you to go through your program was, I'm not in it for the money as much as I'm in it to help me, to help others, and that's what I'm really here for.
I remember that.
Yeah, and you know what? The money might come and it might never come, but what in the meantime I am gaining is sobriety in my way of doing it. But I want people to know they can find you at Starting Point. That's 1-844-414-8444, www.startingpointmn.com. That's Dr. Luis Gonzales. And Dr. Gonzales, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for you to take time out of your busy schedule, because people like you do make a difference. All the thousands that are going to hear this, probably by tomorrow, are probably going to appreciate a lot of the good advice, and I hope you become a regular on our show down the road. Okay, Dr. Gonzales?
I hope your program grows and grows. We're all in a discipleship business, and we all have our way of discipling, and yours is one way, and mine's another, and I just hope that we can reach out to enough people that would want to do this.
Well, as long as we keep pushing ourselves, hopefully we will. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And you and I will speak soon again, okay?
Thank you. God bless you.
Okay, God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye. So that was Dr. Luis Gonzales from Starting Point, 844-414-8444, www.startingpointmn.com. The MN is for Minnesota. Folks, I just want to thank you all for listening. Dr. Gonzales has over 30 years in the industry. He's a former juvenile court officer. He is a community college psychology professor. He has a lot of good background, so I hope for my listeners you take some advice from what he had to say. And I want to remind every single person that it all does start at your home. It starts with good role modelship. What you do and your children see is what is going to end up for your children to end up doing down the road. Be part of their lives between 0 and 18. After that, it's really up to them to run their own lives, but you need to be a good example. Let the sunshine into your heart and your home, and remember, you will get nothing but positive results with that. As always, a sober today makes for a great tomorrow, and please have a sober evening, and more importantly, God bless you.